Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Michael Rosenberg. He's a transformational speaker and coach, empowering people to embrace their most authentic self so they can live a life that feels aligned and true. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you, KJ. It's exciting to be here with you. Appreciate it.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Michael. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about how one can discover their true self. In this backdrop, we'll have our conversation. But before that, let's understand how you discovered yourself, rediscovered your true self, about that journey so that people know who they are listening to, what they can learn from your journey itself.
Yeah, for sure, KJ. So the way I began to discover who I am, which I believe is always evolving, is first I had to discover who I was not. And how I got there was spending a very long time in a career and a life that was not true to my heart. I spent many years working in the corporate world in sales, which is a very performance based industry. It can be a grind and full of pressure. And I found myself following a path that I believe society had said, this is the path, right? Go to college, pick a job, pick a major, start earning, get promoted. One day you'll retire. So I began basing my self worth and my goals and my expectations based off of a target that I didn't even define. It wasn't mine. It was handed to me. And so for about 11 years, I worked in this career and just grinded and kept on burning out. And my mental health and my physical health began to go. And I just knew in my heart that there was something else for me in this world. I said, this can't be it. There's got to be something else. It can't just be working for money and hoping that one day in the future I'll be happy. And so things really began to shift for me actually in 2016 when I went to India. And it was the first time that I had ever traveled internationally. And I only went for 10 days, KJ, because that's all I could get off from work, right? Like, who goes to India for only 10 days from the other side of the ocean? But I did. And it was a very wild trip for me, a very transformative trip for me. And it planted the travel bug in me. And when I came back, I couldn't get enough. I said, ooh, I want to travel again. That lights me up. So the years kept progressing, and essentially what happened is I began awaking spiritually. I began just observing myself from a new place. New people and friends and relationships came into my life, different types of transformational work and modalities that I really got excited about. And eventually it all culminated in this point in 2019 where I went swimming with wild dolphins, and I got so inspired by this experience. I said, I want more of this in my life, more of this. And I said, I'm done. I'm not going back to corporate. And from that moment, I took about a year to prepare. And then I set off to travel the world because that was my dream. I cashed out all the money I had, all the retirement fund I had. And it's been 4 years. I've traveled the world through 5 continents, learning about really who Michael is.
Who Michael is. And after 4 years, 14 countries later, now you guide others who feel stuck in fulfilling careers or disconnected from their purpose to break free from limiting beliefs, embrace faith, and take consistent, aligned action towards a fulfilling life that reflects who they truly are. This is about you. Now you are helping others. But you see, you used your retirement fund, moved out into this direction, but people are so overcome in their, so into their fears of day-to-day life, so much over thinking about that they are not even able to look beyond a job they are doing, look beyond the bills that they have to pay, look beyond, so many things that they are stuck into, and are not able to look at, not the grass on the greener grass on the other side, but the life that they would actually want to have. Why is it so? Why people are so fearful when they know that it's all about fear, that they are not loving the life that they are living?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think you nailed it with fear. I think that the world at large is consumed by fear, and it's not our fault. It comes from upbringing, it comes from society, it comes from money, right? And this fear of survival, or maybe not being enough, or I won't be okay without stability. And I would first, like, if I was anybody listening, like, how do I see past that? First tune in and say, well, what am I feeling in my life? And if you are feeling largely fear, anxiety, doubt, self-doubt, guilt, these emotions keep you restricted, right, in your body, energetically, and they essentially keep you closed energetically to the possibilities of life. But it's confusing because the mind was trained that no, I have to constantly be doing just to keep myself okay. But the heart says, hey, I'm actually not okay. So it's time to look at what's making me not okay. And this is really where I began to look. And it becomes this kind of counterintuitive thing because everything says stay here because you'll be okay, or this is where you'll be good. But the heart says no. There's something else. Follow your emotions, follow your feelings, and start taking a look at the things in life that actually open you and feed your spirit rather than depleting your spirit. And if you don't know what those things are, then it's time for a beautiful exploration and to start playing around and exploring some different things. What feeds my spirit? Eventually, that energy starts to grow, and then the mind can start to change and say, wait a minute, there's a lot more going on here than I thought.
Absolutely, a lot more going on everywhere than one thinks. But let me
Oh, yeah.
understand a bit more for the audience. You see, Michael, you first learned a bit from India. You learned from the dolphins, and then you set sail towards 4 years, giving 4 years and 14 countries. So, what did you learn from this visit, international, global visit, global journey, and which reconnected to you to yourself? What did you learn from there so that people can learn from your journey?
Yeah, it was an incredible journey. I'd say one of the biggest things that I learned is that the pain of staying stuck where I was and unhappy was greater than the fear of the unknown. And many of us have this fear of the unknown. So travel taught me to become friends with the unknown. My spiritual practices taught me, hey, like, all your answers are in the unknown because you have to get outside of what you know to find out who you are. Because chances are a lot of what you know came from conditioning. It might have come from beliefs that were given to us that we don't even know, that are not really ours. So traveling the world stripped away all of my titles. It stripped away the things that I thought about myself because it took me out of the environment that was very stale and stagnant and uninspiring. And it put me in this environment that was very inspiring and full of colors and full of cultures. And I read this. KJ, I read this quote on a wall in Vietnam in my hotel room that said, "The world is a book, and those who don't travel only read one page." So, like, we don't know what we don't know. And once we get out there, I started to see the way that people were living, and I was like, listen, the television is telling me that the world is this big scary place and that it's closing down. But my real experience of having feet on the ground taught me that there's so many beautiful people and cultures and all these um, things that just began to pour into my heart. So it was like I learned that the more that I'm open, the more that I step into the unknown, the more that I put my faith in God, whatever God or the higher power is to you. I believe that's very important. Having trust in all of this just revealed it to me. I didn't really have to plan it. It showed me the path.
Showed you the path. Absolutely,
Mhm.
Michael. So, you are a transformational speaker and coach. You empower people. What would you say to people who want to take that leap of faith but are not able to? What's the best way to get started, so that they can live the life that they are not happy with, and look set sail for the life that they would want to have but are not able to. What's the way? Is there a step by step guide as per you, Michael?
Yeah, it's a great question. KJ, I really believe that we all have our own unique wisdom inside of us that carries a very unique roadmap to our soul and to our heart. So I don't believe that there is a one size fits all step by step system. It comes down to following what is calling you inside. And so if something is saying where I am is not good for me and I'm not happy, and it's calling me to somewhere else, but I don't know where it was, and perhaps it's traveling, right? If it's traveling or going out to venture in the world, whatever your big leap is, number one, it is completely possible. I would say first that your mind, your ego is going to give you every reason why not to do it because your mind is always trying to keep you safe. But the mind makes a lousy leader. The mind makes a great follower to the heart. The heart is supposed to be the leader. The heart is connected to emotion and feeling and those intuitive feelings like I need to make a move. So start with small steps. You know, if there's something you think you might want to do, don't try to climb the whole mountain at once because that can feel very daunting. That can make it feel like it's unrealistic and you might freeze up and take no steps. But I would start investigating. Like I went online, I started going on YouTube and looking up travel vloggers and what do they do and how do they do it and what kind of camera gear and how do they make money? There's so many ways to make money. There's so many ways to support yourself. There's so many ways to do everything. You just got to start moving forward. And everything that you really want in your life is on the other side of fear. So I would also say that begin changing your perspective about fear and making it your friend rather than this thing to be afraid of. Because the thing you're very afraid to do, the fear is actually guiding you directly in that direction because your breakthrough, your liberation is just on the other side of the fear. So, the, the other thing I'll say is that it's important for us, it can't be solved up here. If you tell yourself all day like it's going to happen in the mind, it's going to be hard. We actually need evidence in our life that it's possible. So you can also, whatever you think you want to do, start following people online. There's many mentors, many people doing it that are making it possible. And then to create the evidence for yourself that tells yourself this is possible and I can do this, you got to start stepping into the fear, out of your comfort zone and into the unknown. And that can start from your own home each day, just making one little small move outside of your comfort zone. And as those build, it builds the courage in you, it builds the knowing, it builds that evidence. And it just keeps going on that trajectory. Just stay with it.
Absolutely. Now, Michael, a lot of people can have several perceptions about what they want, and they may just look towards that life. But again, tomorrow, I want something else, and day after, something else. So, before taking that leap of faith, how do I make sure that what I want is my authentic self? This is the true version of myself, and I'm not taking something, which is much more desire and not something which I want. Is there a way to test what exactly is my true self? And am I ready to meet it? Many people do not want to meet their true self. So help us understand, firstly, if I am ready for my true self, and what's the version? What version is my true self? And is that version actually my true self? Is there a way to
Yeah.
find that out?
Yeah, what a great question. I think there's many ways to go about this. Um, one great way would be to ask yourself where your desires are coming from. Why do I want this thing? And you can tune in to see if it's perhaps something that really calls to you, like through a feeling, or is this coming from maybe a wound or a place in my past where maybe love was withheld, or I missed out on something, or I'm overcompensating and making up for something. It's like that's what it is often with money and possessions. It's like, well, I don't feel worthy inside because my past tells me I'm not worthy because of how my parents treated me or this experience or trauma that I had. So am I going after my desires just to try to fill that void? That can get a little bit tricky because yes, like you said, then often we get this desire and it's just not what we thought it was going to be, right? It ends up letting us down more than anything. But I would say the energy of joy and passion, I believe, are the language of the soul. So the things that create joy and passion for you, and I didn't even know what my passions were. Like I had to start playing with different things. I think that that's true to the true self. I believe that that's really what's like opening up our heart, and that is the path to follow. But I'll also say like your authentic self unfolds. It's this unfolding journey. You're not supposed to just one day be hit with it and be like, "Oh my god, like now I found myself," because first we're always changing and evolving, and that might change also as well. Now, you also said something interesting, KJ, about some people might not be ready to meet their authentic selves. What does that mean? And I've noticed also for myself, there can be this fear of like losing my identity of who I am to find my true authentic self, and it's easy to put that in some kind of like negative way, like, oh my god, I'm going to lose who I am. But you're not going to lose anything. If anything, you're just going to strip away the things that are not true. So you can also look at another way is like, all right, what are my beliefs and where did they come from? Did they come from my boss? Did they come from my parents who were very scared and told me never to do anything? Did they come from my friends? So it's like a little bit of an experiment to start asking, like, what are my beliefs and values? And the last thing I'll say is you can start anywhere with this. We're always creating ourselves. We are creatures of creation. So it's not about like pinpointing the thing that's right. It's like, I'll just start here. Let me try this on like a pair of clothes, maybe wear it for a day, see how it fits, see how it feels. And if it feels good, I'll keep this part, and that can be part of you. It's like putting a fun puzzle together.
Right. So does it mean that, some people might be fearful that if I take this step, this leap of faith, then there is no turning back. There is no U turn, and that you have to keep on walking. Or is
Mm,
there a way that people should, actually treat that whole thing as a journey and not a destination, and enjoy the journey and find the destination which actually works best for you? What would you like to tell people, if they think that everybody nowadays, everyone wants to have this plan B, plan B, plan C? So they might think, okay, if that does not work, I will turn back. How should they look at this whole, understanding of their own self or reconnecting with their self? How do you
yeah.
think they should take this journey or this leap towards their so-called destination?
Yeah, what a great question. I deeply believe it is about the journey, not the destination. Like you said, the destination could lead you to a better place that is a better place for you to be in. But life's really about who we are always becoming. So often when we're seeking something, desiring something, it's not the thing that we want. It's not necessarily the job or the car or the relationship. It's how it makes us feel. So it's like, I want to feel secure. I want to feel joy. I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel, right? So the question becomes like, what can I do to help me feel that more? The destination often is a trick. You can set your eyes on the destination. You could get there and you could be like, oh man, that's actually not where I wanted to go. I think the most important point here is that if you can take the mindset and frame it as all of my experiences are giving me feedback. They're giving my soul more information and pointing me closer to my true path. So know that even if something doesn't work out how you planned, or maybe you get to a moment where you have no money or you feel like you're, in jeopardy or something, it's not what you think at first. It doesn't mean that you're in trouble. You're actually closer to becoming who you are because you took a big step for yourself. You went all in on yourself, and the universe rewards action. When you show up and you're like, hey, God, universe, higher, whatever you believe, right? I'm ready. I'm taking this leap. And it's going to begin to bring the doors to you and begin to open them. And it becomes like a breadcrumb trail. So, this plan B thing, sure, look, have a plan B if you want, but I think there's something also so valuable about getting to the point that you fear so much. Like, I got to the point where I was broke. I feared it, and I was like, "Whoa, this isn't even as bad as I thought." I got
Right.
to my fear and I'm actually okay.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely right. And sometimes, while listening to you, I just thought that many a times destinations cannot be perhaps your journey, your destiny. Maybe your destiny lies beyond that, some bigger destination, much more beyond that you could have ever imagined. This was just your journey was initially just to see the big world out there.
Yeah, yeah. Look, sometimes the journey is just to take the pieces off of you that are not fitting. And then once you become a little bit more wholesome and like solidified in yourself, then a new journey begins, right? Onto something different that you never saw. But you would never get to the point of even having that as a possibility if you didn't take the first journey.
Right. And my last question to you, Michael, here is that is this whole journey, destination and destiny, is it about the self, or does it also include others, the bigger purpose? Remember we talked about happiness. You said I was not
Yeah.
happy, I was having everything. Do you think this journey, culmination of this journey, will result in happiness, or is there inclusion of many more things for happiness to be achieved in this life, or otherwise we will always continue to be in the journey which will never end to to reach happiness point?
Yeah, I love that you asked me this question because it reminded me of an experience through my travels where I actually got to a point where I was in the deepest depression of my life. I was in Portugal in Europe, and I'm like, wow, I'm in this beautiful place and I'm so lonely. And so, one of the greatest things that my journey taught me was that we are not meant to do life alone, and it's about doing it together and connecting with others. We really are all doing this together, walking each other home. So yeah, in my old career, it was all about me. It was like, how much money could I get? How many goals could I fulfill? I wasn't very connected to other people or myself, and I think those go hand in hand. When you are more connected to yourself, you can be more connected to others, and then you can help them be more connected to themselves. And we are an offering to this world. Offering means you're an offering to others, and when you give love, you receive love. It's all one big energy, all working together. And also with happiness, look, it's happiness is going to go up and down. Even if you reach the things that you want, like, you'll easily go right back into this other place, and it's not a bad thing. Life is about the totality of the experience. There's gifts in all of it, even the low times as well. So I believe overall, yes, there's something to be said about, I want to be more happy and experience more joy and fulfillment. But I also learned on the road that community is what gives that to me and to others. And it's within community where we all create together, where there are so many more possibilities than there are alone. And also, it takes the weight off of our shoulders. Like, oh my God, I don't need to do this alone. I don't need to carry the weight of trying to figure it all out. So, yes, I believe it's about serving the world, connecting with others, and it's one in the same of connecting with the self and finding your joy.
Absolutely. There is much to
Mm.
learn from you, Michael. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to learn from you, learn about you, get your coaching as a transformational coach. And so, what is the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, right now the best, easiest way you can find me is on my Instagram page at Wake Up with Mike. I have some offerings at the top there in the first few videos, and you can send me a direct message also, to ask how we can work together. And I'm happy to set up an initial discovery call for free just to see. I'm in this phase of coming out with more programs. I'm working on the website now, but for now, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. So you can find me in those places. Send me a personal message there. Let's see how we can help you out.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.